Hi, folks. It's the latest in the. What did I fucking call this thing again? Bud on Film? Or something like that. So it's been a little bit since I've done one. I've been trying to do something a little more elaborate, but work is taking up too much time, and you know, you can only do so much in your free time. But I've just recently announced that I'm going to be doing a new screening series at Eyesore Cinema in Toronto, in the micro cinema in the back. So I'll be doing a series entirely devoted to Bollywood, and hopefully I'll play several movies during that time. My first movie I'll be playing is a movie called Om Shanti Om. So that made me go, well, I should do some sort of like little video around Bollywood for this. Maybe it'll help get people a little more excited for it, or get a bit of an idea of what's gonna go on there. But Bollywood is a pretty vast, that's covering a lot of ground. So I figured since Om Shanti Om stars Shah Rukh Khan, I'm gonna do a video entirely dedicated to Shah Rukh Khan because he's the star of Om Shanti Om and he is awesome. He's possibly, for my 2 cents, the world's greatest actor. And he's not like, I don't say that like he's like some douchey method actor guy who has to go through some elaborate build a cabin in the woods to pretend to be a settler or something like that. He just acts. And he can play pretty much anything and do it very entertainingly and very charmingly. It's not uncommon for him to play a hero or a villain sometimes in the same movie. So let's just go through a few of his movies, and just a few, because honestly, he's been in a lot. I've seen a lot of his movies, but I've only seen a very small percentage of the movies he's made. Most years, he makes like 3 movies in a year, so there's a lot of ground to cover there, too. But I'll show you some of the ones I have, so that cuts it down by quite a bit. I'll start with Dil Se, or Dilcha, I think it's pronounced. But this movie is pretty much why I decided to start doing a Bollywood themed screening series. And even though it's not the first movie I will be showing, I will 100% be showing it at some point. It's amazing. It completely blew me away. I think if you follow me on Facebook or whatever, or actually read the stuff I write sometimes, which I can be a little long-winded and obnoxious, so no, no blame if you don't read it. I did post a thing about this after I saw it. I watched this movie like late at night, and Bollywood movies are really quite long. They're generally always at least 2 hours plus, 2.5 hours, over 3 hours in some cases, because they are pretty epic, sweeping stories most of the time. So I started this late at night, and I was like thinking, should I start this movie? Because, you know, it's gonna be pretty late by the time I'm finished it. And the moment the opening credits started playing, I was like, oh man, I'm already hooked. Just the music and the tone in this movie is so... the atmosphere in this movie, like, it really has this dark undercurrent that you feel throughout it, even during its sort of happier songs. Like, the music in this is amazing, for one thing. All the songs in this are amazing. And all of them sort of have that undercurrent of looming threat or some darkness that you can't put your finger quite on until you finish the movie, and then you understand why. So it's really great. I'm not going to talk about it too in depth because again, I'm going to show it. So if you are watching this and you're planning to attend a bunch of the Bollywood screenings, I'm not going to blow anything. Beyond, again, Shah Rukh Khan is amazing in this. He always does a great acting job, and this is one of his better performances. Even I haven't seen him be bad in anything yet. And oh, what's her name? The lead actress in this. Ah, crap. I just watched her like last night in the Bollywood remake of An Affair to Remember, and I can already forget her name. But she's really great. She's kind of perfect for the role she is in this. She's a very mysterious woman who has this aura of like pain and something underneath the surface beyond just she's obviously very beautiful, but she's clearly suffered a lot, and there's something else going on there that I won't say too much about. But she, like, the directors of Bollywood, I've seen her in a few things now, and this is gonna sound a little weird, but they found out pretty quickly with her as an actress that the more she seems to be suffering emotionally, the more beautiful she looks. And that's a very weird thing to say, but it kind of works through her. Dilce, A Journey Through the Seven Shades of Love. This is the tagline for the movie. Let him rest in the lap of death. Let him drown his body in her soul. Damn, that sounds amazing. Don't you want to watch it? It's so good. It's this was one of those movies that I guess it wasn't like a big hit in Bollywood when it came out. The soundtrack apparently sold really well, but in India, in Bollywood, in India, it wasn't a big hit. I guess it did okay, but not setting the box office on fire. But it did really well in other countries. This was like the first Bollywood movie to break the top 10 box office in the United Kingdom. It's clearly one of those movies when you watch it, you're like, oh yeah, I can see this doing really well in the film festival circuit. It feels like it should have been nominated for like best foreign picture for the Oscars, but probably wouldn't win because it's too interesting and too good because the Oscars are bullshit. But it's awesome, and I'm gonna play it. I'm not playing it on the back thing here because even if you look for a second, you might spoil a moment of that movie. But yeah, I love it to pieces, and I'm definitely gonna show it. So you should come watch it if you want. The next movie, which is what I am actually showing, is Chahat. Chahat. This movie I'm showing on the thing because I have no intention of ever screening it. But I was actually sort of thinking before starting this video of things to say about it, and I'm like, should I eventually screen it? I don't know. Let's see how long this Bollywood screening series I'm doing lasts, and it's not, of the Shah Rukh Khan movies I've watched, it's not on the ones I'm like top planning to show, even though it is pretty awesome and badass. It's basically the story of this Shah Rukh Khan plays, he's a singer, like a street performer, who goes to Delhi to get his father, who raised him as a street performer, is also a singer, to get his father cancer treatment, and he is singing on the street one night, and this rich woman who happens to be the sister of like the city's biggest gangster sees him playing, gets him to come up and play for her party, and she just drunkenly like saunters around him as he sings the song. She's just this hot mess of gorgeous drunkenness, and she falls in love with him deeply, but she's also a psycho, and her brother, the biggest crime boss in the city, will do anything she says just to make her happy. So getting when a psycho crime boss lady, who is also a drunken emotional wreck, falls in love with you, and you don't really feel that way too, beyond your, like, happy she gave you a job and stuff, that could lead to trouble, and it does for Shah Rukh Khan in this. I can't remember her name either, but she co-stars with Shah Rukh Khan in a lot of movies. She's a very good actress. She's not one of the best dancers. She has like limited flexibility and stuff, so you can see a lot of the time they'll like get her to kind of cheat in her dance scenes, and a lot of the backup dancers do a lot of the heavy lifting. But she is a very good actress, so it's like one of those things where you're like, okay, so she doesn't have the full package, but she really performs well and stuff. And man, does Shah Rukh Khan go through the ringer in this. When heroes in Bollywood movies suffer, they really suffer. It's there's a good like chunk of this movie where you think the bad gangster guy is just gonna beat Shah Rukh Khan to death, but he doesn't quite, or does he? I don't know. It's awesome and fun, but I'm probably not going to screen it because there's a lot of other Shah Rukh Khan movies I would screen first. He's going to get a lot of play during this whole Bollywood screening series I'm doing because, again, he is the biggest name in Bollywood now. And before him, it was like Amitabh Bachchan. But Shah Rukh Khan, like, he's just the big dominant star. Arguably the world's biggest movie star. There was a worldwide survey, and more people knew who Shah Rukh Khan was than Tom Cruise. So that's sort of, if you get an idea of how, like, his star power, he's a big thing there. And for good reason. Like, he's very talented. He's a great dancer. He really fills out a pair of leather pants. I gotta say, he's a good looking dude. He has a perfect actor's face. So he can kind of like, I don't know if you can see here, like, he's not so, like, he's good looking, obviously, but he can play goofy at the same time. He can play threatening. He can, like, really, like, turn into a hard ass if he wants to, but he can also be, like, the goofy romance guy or whatever. Like, he can be whatever you need. It doesn't matter. So he's great. And then that'll bring me into Dil Tu Paga Hai, which is a great, like, romantic melodrama dance movie. I hesitated to bring up some of these because they are Shah Rukh Khan co-starring with Madhuri Dixit, and Madhuri Dixit will get her own video on one of these because she is also amazing, and she's if Shah Rukh Khan is the biggest leading man, she's the biggest female star in Bollywood, and again, with good purpose. She's an amazing actress. She can play whatever you need her to play, and she's got like an amazing winning smile, great hair, and she can dance like nobody's business. Like, this movie is an amazing dance movie because it's like Madhuri Dixit and Karisma Kapoor, and Karisma Kapoor is also a dancer in this movie, like one of the main character dancers in this dance show they're trying to put on. And you can really see the difference in their styles. Like, Karisma Kapoor is much more formal and sort of restrained. Madhuri Dixit is one of those kind of dancers where she can do like incredibly intricate moves but make it look easy. It looks like she's like not even trying, and she like nails it. But this movie is not the first time Shah Rukh Khan and Madhuri Dixit co-starred in a movie. The first time they co-starred was a movie called Anjam, but I will talk about that in a moment. I was actually meaning to bring that up first, but I didn't put it on the top of the pile. Whoops. Oh well. This was the first time they co-starred in a movie, and it was a big hit. This movie is great. I will definitely uh, screen this at some point because uh, the one thing with Bollywood movies is like while every movie has like a romantic drama kind of at the center of it, or it's like part of the plot or something. Even like some of the action movies, the romantic part will be like sort of put to the background. But the real meat and potatoes of Bollywood are their romantic melodramas, and they're they're so good. Like when they're really good, they're really good, and this is one of the great ones. Um, Lots of amazing songs and dance in this. It's a movie about a dance troupe trying to put stuff on. So, like, I'm trying to, like, a lot of people sort of give Bollywood shit for the camp factor. And this movie is no exception because there's definitely like a lot of color and vibrancy to it, and when it gets melodramatic, it's really like reaching for the top, which is what I love about Bollywood movies. I find a lot of North American drama very dry and boring. It's either like, if you're gonna depress me, at least entertain me while you're doing it, sort of thing. Like, I don't want to watch another movie about like somebody dying of cancer for the entire runtime, and just like, I mean, like, I think I blame a lot of North American drama being boring, or like this sort of weird pretentiousness against depicting movies as realistically as possible, like trying to depict real life as realistically as possible on a couple things. One, the French New Wave movement in the 60s and maybe 50s, and also the like, I think it's called cinema verite movement in the 70s. While a lot of good movies came out of both those movements, I do think that it sort of became the norm to think like a movie is smarter if it's more realistic and maybe a little drier. While a lot of the stuff that really entertains me, whether you would call it stupid or not, is the opposite. I like high emotions. I like people screaming at each other, good dialogue. So if people are just like, yeah, that made me feel sad, I'm not into it. I don't feel it. So like when Maduri digs it in like this beautiful ball gown, like runs away from her family home through this like hallway of lights, I'm like, that's amazing. I love that. So Dil Tu Paga Hai will definitely get played at some point. So I'll go to Ant Jam now, which is the one I'm into. And again, is Shah Rukh Khan and Maduri Dixit are both going to get a lot of play during my screening series because they're both amazing. And this will almost definitely get played. This movie rocks hard, so you should watch it. Shah Rukh Khan, it's almost like this movie's kind of a commentary on the Bollywood romance cliches that happen a lot, where the guy sort of decides he's in love with this girl, and it becomes like a series of pranks or something. Like he basically like sort of goofily toys with, like, he'll do sort of douchey, like almost borderline negging type stuff, where eventually the girl will fall in love also, or like they basically like mess with each other until they realize they're in love. They're kind of shitty to each other until they find out they're in love. That happens a lot in Bollywood movies. Sometimes the love grows like really well and it's sweet and well done, but a lot of the time it just is like a series of pranks, and then eventually it goes too far and they figure out they're in love. It's weird, but it happens a lot. So this is sort of like almost a commentary on that, where Shah Rukh Khan is in love with Maduri Dixit, but he's a rich psycho who gets obsessed with her and becomes like basically her stalker. And eventually this one becomes like this huge revenge epic and it's pretty awesome. Like, it kind of has Lady Snowblood vibes about it. Like, it, and again, the songs are great. If Lady Snowblood had really good musical numbers, it would be Angie. So, yeah, I mean, Lady Snowblood kind of does have great musical numbers. I think Miko Kaji even sang a couple of them. But this has great musical numbers all the way through, and when the revenge happens, it's really cool. It's really satisfying. And the bad guys in this, there's more bad guys than just Shah Rukh Khan. I mean, he is a really good bad guy in this. He's like the peak of his like crazy bad guys he's played. But all the supporting bad guys in this are sleazeball, shithead, fuckwads, and when they die, it is so satisfying. So that one's gonna be a fun one to screen at some point, and very unsettling also. So it's gonna pull people in a lot of different directions. Koila! Again, Shah Rukh Khan and Madhuri Diggs it together. I guess I'm probably going to talk about these again when I do my Madhuri Diggs it specific video. Probably not. I'll probably talk about some more of her movies where she didn't star with Shah Rukh Khan. This one's awesome. It's basically, I described it to a couple people as like, if you've ever seen that Jet Li movie Unleashed, where Bob Hoskins treats Jet Li like a dog, but he's like a kung fu killer dog, and then eventually, like, you know, Jet Li frees himself and gets revenge or whatever. This is like that mixed with Rambo First Blood. Mixed with a beautiful romantic drama. Because that's what Bollywood does. Again, really amazing like song numbers in this one. Like, they're great. So much like this period, like the 90s period of Bollywood, they're getting really big into blue backlighting, and it works really well in this one. Some of the like color schemes and like the lighting is so good in this. This movie is just really fun and awesome all the way through. I would probably screen this, but this copy that I have kind of cuts off the corners a little bit in the edge, which for a lot of movies wouldn't be a big deal, but it does kind of get a little annoying with Bollywood movies, which are big and wide in scope. So this is a pretty awesome fucking movie, and I really do want to screen it, but I don't know. People might have to put up with some cut off edges. Veer Zara. Yash Chopra's Veer Zara. Yash Chopra was also the director of Dil Tu Paga Hai. He's like a long-running director in Bollywood. This was like one of his last movies. So I think this was his second last movie. Veer Zara. This is a really cool, like, again, big epic romantic drama. I sort of said Amitabh Bachchan before. He was the big superstar before Shah Rukh Khan came along. Still considered like one of the biggest stars that Bollywood has ever produced. He plays Shah Rukh Khan's adopted father in this. He's graduated to dad level in Bollywood movies now. He used to be like this main hero guy who just constantly rocked an open shirt and just ruled, just like looked awesome with his open shirt and his like sunglasses on and a giant gun, and just chewing a toothpick or whatever, you know, that sort of thing. He was cool as hell back in the 70s. And now it's because Bollywood, it's sort of like the joke with porn where there's like two age brackets, where it's with porn, it's you're either a teen or a MILF. But with Bollywood, it's like you're either a hero or a dad, or you're a leading lady or a mom, you know, like that sort of thing. Like once you get to a certain age, you start playing parents, and families are always a big part of Bollywood movies. Family is a very important factor in a lot of Bollywood movies, most of them. Anyway, so family drama, it plays a big part. Veer Zara, really cool movie. Actually, I should have mentioned earlier, one of the neat things about Dilche is it was the first role for an actress named Preeti Zinta, who is the co-star in Veer Zara. Preeti Zinta gets a great song number in Dilce. And in this, she's leading lady now. And this is basically the story of a helicopter pilot who falls, like she's from Pakistan, he's from India, and he falls in love with this Pakistani girl, and then he's been in prison for 20 years, and there's a court case. It's tough to go where do I start with like it's part of courtroom drama, part of like A Few Good Men or something like that, a little bit of an Indian propaganda, like how great India is and stuff, although it doesn't really shit on Pakistan either. It's very nice to Pakistan. So it's, I mean, a lot of Bollywood movies are kind of propaganda-y, but I mean, whatever, that's the nature of film. But Veer Zara is a really good one. It's very sweet and tender, and the courtroom drama part is fun. I'm a sucker for courtroom dramas. I've watched so many shows that are just garbage courtroom drama shows that are just case of the week or whatever, and then I don't know, every so often I'll put on A Few Good Men or whatever movie. So that part really entertained me, and then the rest of it is great too. One of the things I will say, as the romantic lead in this, Shah Rukh Khan is at his most lovable. You can totally see why she fell for him. Everybody in this movie falls in love with him. He's just such a good dude. It's pretty great. And she's delightful. She's a really good actress, Preeti Zinta. And she's, again, a really great dancer. Other points about this? I've sucked in my teeth so much during this video. It's got to be so obnoxious if you're watching it at home. All right, so on to the last one. Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, which is a pretty delightful movie. I did notice the latest movie that, this movie was a big hit. So the latest movie that Shah Rukh Khan seems to have done looks like it might be an animated all-dog remake of Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, just called Kuchi Kuchi Hota Hai. So, I mean, just from the title and from the cover, it looks like that's what it is, but I haven't actually watched it yet. I don't know if I will. Truth be told, I'm not big on animated kids movies. For one thing, I don't watch a lot of Disney movies, so that might hold me back. But the idea of watching an all-dog version of Kuch Kuch Hota Hai is very entertaining to me. To give you a little bit of idea of what Kuch Kuch Hota Hai is basically it's the story, Shah Rukh Khan, in the beginning of the movie, his wife dies, and she's died shortly after childbirth. She left a series of letters to her daughter, and to be read on each one of her birthdays. And on the daughter's 8th birthday, it's basically telling the daughter, the story of how when they went to college together, him and his wife, he was best friends with this other girl who they all were big friends with, and the other girl, who was madly in love with Shah Rukh Khan, who he was completely oblivious to. She was very sad when he fell in love with his future wife, who dies at the beginning of the movie. It's sort of suck on that up. It's a really good opening scene where she dies, and you're like, that's sad. But then, so then it flashes back to their college days and shows all that, where they're the whole love triangle thing, and that's also can be a bit of a like an emotional thing. And then it goes back into the present day where basically the mother is asked through her letters to the daughter, I want you to hook up your dad with this friend of his from college who, like, I feel like they were really meant to be together also. So that'll be your new mommy. And the daughter's like, this from the letter, from the letter, which is like almost probably like an hour and a half long flashback, is like, yeah, she sounds great. She'll totally be my new mom. So she hatches like an elaborate plan, like almost like I think it's like the Parent Trap, where to get her dad back together with the college friend. Uh, it's delightful. It's a really good movie. Again, like the like the backlighting is really great in this movie. I know it's like backlighting, whatever, but it makes everything like pop and look good. I mean, the sets in so many of these movies. Part of what is so great about Bollywood movies, amazing sets, great lighting. They're visually like gorgeous. They're sort of a lot of ways. It's like old Hollywood in America, but it just evolved from that. It never really died in that sense. Like there's these romance is still like the main driving force in a lot of their stuff. And a lot of the actors are more like the old timey style of acting. Before method acting became a big thing in North America, and everybody tried to be like a more grittier, realer version of things. This is people acting, so it's more entertaining to me. And yeah, so like the sets, like I said, a lot of stuff is like studio sets instead of like on location shooting. I mean, there's lots of on location shooting too, but you get to see all these gorgeous sets also. And the location shooting's great too because India's got some really beautiful countryside. But it all just looks visually good and sounds great. It's very like a very satisfying film experience altogether. It kind of is for me. I'm like more and more I'm sort of feeling like this is like the ultimate movie. This is what I've been looking for all along. It's everything I want in one flick. So it's like really satisfying. And like you can sort of cover a lot of ground in a nearly 3 hour running time that you can't in an hour and a half. And I know a lot of people tend to prefer shorter run times, but I'm generally, my rule is as long as you're entertaining me the whole way through, I do not mind a longer movie. If you're boring as hell and you're 3 hours long, I'm gonna check out, at least at some point. So, I mean, is there a point to this? Yeah, go see my screenings. Coming up soon, I think is Sunday, May 1st is the first screening. The first Sunday in May will be my first screening, Om Shanti Om, starring Shah Rukh Khan of all these great movies. And it's a movie about Bollywood. It's a beautiful spectacle of a movie, and it's a lot of fun. So hopefully everybody will have a good time. And yeah, bye, I guess. Meandering.